lakini kwa sasa naarifiwa kwamba Waziri wa Kilimo Mithika Linturi naye yuko katika bunge la seneti ambako anahojiwa kuhusiana na ile sakata, tutaita kama ni sakata ama ni uagizaji tu wa mahindi kutoka nje, na zile jitihada za kusema kwamba wanapunguza gharama ya unga kwa Wakenya. Hebu tusikilize upande huo nao kunaendelea namna gani.
It's below 2000. That one I know is something I am sure of. The importers are complaining to me, saying, Mheshimiwa, you people authorize very many people to bring rice. We are not able to sell. So when probably anybody that bought rice before the coming in of the essential commodities that have come in, probably one bought at high prices. I may not know, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chuta, you will still have an opportunity to ask one other supplementary question, but in this instance, I'd like to allow Senator Lelegwe Steve Lutumbesi Samburu.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I was intending to ask the previous Cabinet Secretary the question.
All right, thank you, Senator William Tetumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank the CS for, I think it's displaying some aspect of being honest with its answers. But Mr. Speaker, the CS spoke about the fact that some of the suppliers that have been licensed to import products, whether maize or rice or sugar, sometimes don't have the capacity to really comply with that particular order. Mr. Speaker, the arrangement between the ministry, Bwana CS, and those suppliers, in my view, amounts to a contract actually between the ministry and those people. And as you have already stated, the intention is to help Kenyans so that they reduce their prices by that supply. But now that you've confessed to the House that some of the suppliers are unable to bring in the foodstuff, it means they also frustrate your very intention of reducing the prices.
Yes.
What then are you going to do, Bwana CS? Isn't it necessary for you perhaps to ensure that you only give this to those companies that are able to supply? Isn't it good for you to have a precondition before you allocate them these foodstuffs? Otherwise, my fear is that you may allow them and finally still not achieve the objective of wanting to reduce the prices for failure for them to supply. So what will you do? Because you have said it's a challenge, but Kenyans are looking upon you to look for a solution to that situation. What will you do?
Proceed to respond.
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
This is a very unfortunate time, or this came at a very difficult time when this decision was being made, because we didn't have food. And moving forward, I have said in many forums that it is my desire to ensure that we are able to feed ourselves, because even in some countries that I've been to, some countries are more concerned, and which I agree with them, about the food security of their people. So for us to end this problem completely, we have to find how we can be able to produce food for ourselves and run away from reliance on imports. Mr. Speaker, I sent very well, because Honorable Cheptumo's question is genuine, is legitimate, and I appreciate his concern. But my main problem is because this was not a normal, it's not a procurement where we are spending any kind of money. We will not be able to bid the farmers, the importers, by way of serious guarantees on how much, what bid board or what guarantees to sign. And designed because I wouldn't foresee, I was almost foreseeing this happening, and even done contracts for them to sign bidding themselves to certain prices, Mr. Senator Cheptumo. But because this is private investment, you are telling us you cannot give us conditions, you want me to borrow money from the bank at an interest, and you want to dictate to me how much money I will be able to sell. Secondly, was a very bad time when the dollar fluctuations, the currency fluctuations, and all imports are done on dollars. There was insufficient dollar supply in the market. There was the Kenyan shilling was permanently weakening, so it was not possible. So we are even to run away from that one, so that at least you can have incentives. We will get incentives to ask people at least to give us supply, because you may have money and then you have nothing else to buy. So, Senator Cheptumo, we may not, although we have now to be more cautious and somehow watch out to these importers with a lot of caution in future, in the event that they apply for any license to bring in imports, because they have really let us down. We would have been better than we are today, and they really kept their promise, because I think when we give them a contract or a license to bring, there was that general understanding that they will bring, meaning that they created legitimate expectation on our end as government, because we're expecting them to bring those commodities to be available to our people in the country, at least to be able to access something to buy.
CS, thank you very much, Honorable CS. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. CS, I appreciate the answers you're giving, more so on what we are doing as a country, because it's embarrassing that we are gathered here in the 21st century as a big economy in this region and still debating about importation. I think your answers need to be more reassuring on what exactly we are doing, so that we stop this business of relying on farmers from other regions. Because the long and short of what we are discussing here is, how are we procuring from other farmers? We are not short of land, we are not short of water, we are not short of people to cultivate. That is what we expect, Cabinet Secretary, that in the next few months we shall be discussing. My question, Mr. Speaker, is with regards to, this is a supplementary question, something that the Cabinet Secretary hadn't been prepared for, but you know, we have always told them to be prepared when appearing before the House. We passed the Tea Amendment Bill here in 2020, Mr. Speaker. Subsequently, the people that we had disputes with moved to court. Many players in the industry, East African Tea Trade, KTDA, and the likes. With the new administration having come into office, Mr. Speaker, and more so specifically, the directors of KTDA who are in office courtesy of that particular bill, unfortunately, they have refused to withdraw the cases that were filed by the ousted directors. Principally, a specific case, Mr. Speaker, that would have allowed all the 60 plus KTDA managed tea factories belonging to our farmers to pay only 1.5% of their gross as management fee, because they continue to enjoy the benefits as it is. I want an assurance from the Cabinet Secretary. When does he intend to crack the whip as a leader in charge of that particular ministry, to have a sitting with those directors and know that they are beneficiaries of an act that was passed in this House? They cannot on one hand enjoy being in office, while on the other seek the protection of the courts not to pass the benefits to the farmers, Mr. Speaker. I want that particular assurance from the Cabinet Secretary, so that we know which way do we proceed. Because if these directors are not keen on withdrawing the case, then let's go to the elections and elect fresh directors that still believe in the tea reform movement. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, you respond to the question by the Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I can't agree more with the Majority Leader. And may I also say that I am a tea farmer. I know those problems. I passed this law. I was lucky, courtesy of the people of Meru, to be a senator, and I was in this. So I think the best way to address this matter, because I really feel the senator and parliament cannot just be passing a law in vain. So let me invite the majority leader, because he's a man of wisdom, and then because now I'm the other end implementing what I passed here, then we can be able to come up with a proper way of how we need to do it, because it must be done, and whatever is required to be done, I am ready. I am ready to do it. And Mr. Speaker, then I can report back. But I am willing to take up that challenge and ensure that is best. Mr. Speaker, the issue about tea farmers in the country is something that is so close to me. We have around over 650,000 small-scale tea farmers who really depend on tea, and we are really focused on how to improve the management of tea in the country to ensure there is increased productivity, there is increased yields, to ensure that we have better return for tea. So I think, Mr. Speaker, allow me ask the majority leader to come and sit with me and then share his wisdom on how we can be able to manage this, and with the support of the members of parliament, we will be able to resolve the problem. Thank you.
Naam, ni shughuli zinazoendelea katika bunge la Senate, huko Waziri Mithika Linturi akihojiwa kuhusiana na ule uagizaji wa mahindi kutoka nje na pia ruzuku ambayo inanuiwa kuwapunguzia mzigo wananchi inapofika katika bei ya unga wa mahindi. Tutakupasha mengi tu kwenye taarifa zetu zinazokuja. Kwa sasa naarifiwa kwamba